Welcome to Inside Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. I'm a military veteran turned filmmaker. I found my spark in the military, and now I'm here to help you find yours. Inside Plug is a platform for your voice, stories to be shared, and ideas to flourish. Let's dive in and plug into creativity and entrepreneurship together. Today, we have Jason Johnson. He's an actor for TV, film, theater, and voiceover, and he's also a DJ. He worked on a short film called Dreyfus, where he plays a priest, and he also was in a theater play called The Peacock Season. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Glad to have you. So you worked on a film and a play. First let's talk about the film a little bit. It says you played a priest. Could we dive into that a little bit? How's that?
Yeah, of course. It's actually quite an inspiring story. The director, scriptwriter, producer, funder was actually from El Salvador. And so it was a bit of you know this better than I, your military background, but it was about, the revolution and the coup and all that kind of stuff. So it was a bit of a kind of a take on that history. I don't think any of the people, the characters were actually real people, but, he came from El Salvador, came to the Calgary area, which is where I live. And in 10 months had bought himself a farm, and he was getting into producing, and it was pretty inspiring background, this fellow. But so I auditioned initially for the commander. So there was three main characters. One was the corrupt politician. Two was the corrupt military, I don't know if he's a general or whatever the designation would be. And then three was the corrupt priest. And so if you can appreciate, so you have the military, you have the church, and you have the government all kind of conspiring against its people, sort of thing. So it, so that was kind of the main thing. And they had a few other characters, minor characters, but I initially auditioned for the role of the general, because honestly, I have a professional demo reel done, and the person who did my demo said, Jason, any roles that have authority, kind of a powerful presence, that's really in your wheelhouse. And so I went, okay, I'm going to audition for this. And I did it. They came back. They said, you know what? We would actually like you to be the priest, to play the priest. So I was like, yeah, okay. And I'll be honest, when it comes to acting, often you get overpassed or passed over. I'm sure we'll probably talk about this down the road a little bit here, but you very frequently will get passed over for somebody else. It will feel like rejection. It will feel like, oh, I'm not a good actor, or, oh, they're a better actor than me. And guaranteed, I can't say 100% of the time, but 100% of the time, it's just because somebody else fit the role a little bit better than you did. Or, they fit the other cast that's already been, selected. So you may have been a great, let's say, audition for a father, but you don't look like the children. And so we're going to go with somebody else. So anyway, I had a little bit of that rejected kind of feel. But honestly, when I saw the guy who got the role of general, I went, yeah, okay, he looks way better than me. Honestly, he just fits it. He was perfect. But anyway, so I got this priest character, and it was this corrupt priest. And the main scene that we were doing was, we had this big kind of a party, and we were all there. And I was going to be persuading all these people. I was using, a little bit of persuasion, a little bit of the Bible to try and, because, El Salvador, a lot of Latino countries, they're still very, very Catholic in their their background, their upbringing, and their belief system and stuff. And so we were, in a corrupt way, sort of capitalizing on that to go, hey, let's get the church involved. And, of course, you're going to get your financial kickbacks, et cetera, et cetera. So I was just playing a really, really corrupt priest. So that's how I was playing it. I built my character's universe. I had my motivations and my intentions in place. And the person who was coaching us along was like, oh, that sounds fantastic. I like your backstory, et cetera, et cetera. So we did a whole bunch of scenes over a whole bunch of days. Some of it was on the road because we had some car stuff happening. Some of it was on the guy's farm because, some things were happening out there. And then the final read through before the last day of shooting, the person goes, wait a second, Jason, we missed it. You're not playing the corrupt priest. You're playing a guy who's acting like the corrupt priest. So the whole thing ended in a schmoz where I was actually this guy who was dressed up to be the priest. If that makes sense at all, I'm not sure. So all of my intentions, all of my motivations, everything went out the door. And I had to, like, in a heartbeat go, okay, let me completely shift now as an actor and go, I have to do something different. I have to completely come up with different motivations and intentions. And I was able to do that. And I think it went great. And it was a Dreyfuss film. It was filmed a couple of summers ago. And then finally the premiere, if you will, it was at a movie theater, showed here in Calgary. And we had, like, you know, not the red carpet per se, but we had like the big, what's that backdrop called when you stand in front of it and everybody takes pictures? I can't remember the name of that, what it is, but anyway, so they had that in the background, and, you know, we were taking pictures of the cast, and, you know, to go into the movie theater and see this thing come up and see your name up there. And to me, it was, for me, you know, I want to be involved in really great projects. I want to be playing actors of a diverse nature, right? I want to, so it is fun to see your name up there. And I've seen myself on TV many times, and it is fun. There's no question. But for me, it's like, as an actor, I want to develop and grow and say, wow, I did that role. Or on this one, we all had it completely wrong. And now I had to, like, shift gears in a heartbeat and kind of nail it. And it was kind of neat too, because when we were filming it, and that's a challenge with doing TV and film versus, let's say, doing theater. So when I did theater, you see the production from start to finish, you know, every single night. Whereas with theater, or sorry, with TV or film, while we're doing, you know, season 1, episode 2 today, but we're doing season 3, episode 4 tomorrow, like, so you just lose this whole linear landscape, just gets completely lost. And so when we're out there filming on the, you know, doing the road scenes or doing the farm scenes or the tool shed scenes, I just kind of lost track of where everything was. And that's more me. I get confused easily. But then seeing it up there, I went, wow, actually, I was in a lot of this show. I didn't think that I was in that much of the show, but it was a lot of fun. And probably I would say it's one of the top 3 for sure characters that I've done was doing this, because, again, to me, the nobility of the film, not just the storyline itself, but the fellow who did it, he self-funded and did all the writing and all that kind of stuff, and it was so great. But so that's just one of the credits that I have is doing the Dreyfuss film, but it's the last one. And like I said, it was so fun to kind of, you know, I'm not an A-list actor by any means, but it was pretty cool to just go there, go to the film. My wife and daughters came with me, and we watched the film together, and yeah, they were all pretty proud, and it was pretty impressive. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So I believe it's called The Backdrop, with the logos on it. So that's an interesting challenge, right? So you say you were the actor playing as dressed up as the priest. Have you ever experienced a challenge like that before, or if not, what's been like one of your greatest challenges on set?
Yeah, that would probably be the biggest one, was just, again, knowing that you had a motivation, and then just in all of our, you know, reading through the script and all that kind of stuff, we honestly just lost track of where it was at. And so I am glad that the coach picked that up. But that was probably the most challenging thing, I think, was probably the most challenging thing, role that I had to do. The other thing too is I was also in a TV commercial here a few years ago. You said you're in New York?
I'm in San Diego right now.
San Diego. Okay, so there's for Canada, he's kind of a famous tool guy named Mike Holmes. He does like all these fixer-upper shows. He's been on TV for like 20, 30 years or whatever. And so Toyota Tundra, they had this big sort of like celebrity ride-along kind of thing with some local celebrities and stuff. And so Mike Holmes was one of them. And I was chosen to do a ride-along with him for their TV commercial. You can still see me on YouTube and stuff like that. But that was a little bit challenging because Mike Holmes had like maybe 4 or 5 lines that he had to say about, you know, the frame of the thing, the chassis, the backup camera. Like, he had a few, you know, I need to talk about the suspension. So he had some key points that he had to hit. But you know, you're riding around with a Canadian celebrity and just having to make stuff up and keep it flowing. And so we were actually driving around in this Toyota Tundra. There was a recording van ahead of us. There were like cameras all across, you know, where the visors are. There's cameras all across looking down at us. Plus we had about 2 guys in the back, technical guys in the back, who would give us directions and stuff. And that was super fun. It was challenging because, like I said, I'm sitting with a, you know, fairly famous Canadian celebrity. And then I'm also trying to like sound poignant and come up with some some key stuff. But that was actually pretty fun because he was driving, and then I must have mentioned, oh, it'd be kind of cool to drive this. And so we hear this, yeah, Mike, actually pull over and let Jason drive. So we pulled over and we swapped seats, and now I'm driving this celebrity around. So, but it was pretty fun. But that was probably, it was challenging more because I don't really look at myself as an improvisational kind of guy. Like I don't go to improv games. I don't take improv lessons and stuff, but I just had to kind of, make stuff up and hopefully it's poignant. Hopefully it's funny. Of course, 99% of the thing was dropped because we only had like whatever it was, 30 seconds or something. But that's probably one of the more challenging things I've done as well. But as far as like actually getting into character, actually, playing a role, I really haven't had too much difficulty over the last few years, just with training and just with working with great directors and script writers and producers who can kind of really coax you along. I was in a play 2 years ago, and I was playing this fairly narcissistic politician. Man, I hope I'm not typecast, right? A corrupt priest, a narcissistic politician, but that was good because the director was really hands-on. So in one scene, I came in, I put my hat down and I walked across and sat down, and she said, "Well, whoa, why are you walking across? Like, why are you sitting down? Like, what's your motivation there?" So every single thing we did, you had to find a motivation for every little nuance, why are you sitting down? I went, that's what you do when you come into someone's house? No, you got to find something better than that. So that was, you can go to training for sure. I would say, get into training for any young actor, any emerging actor, and even any actor who's A-list actor. My favorite actor is Javier Bardem. He played the Sugar in No Country for Old Men, like that really sadistic guy. And he's like a god actor to me. He takes lessons every single year. He still takes training. I watched an interview with him, and every single year. So whether you're like just getting into acting or you're a top level actor, you need training. And I should have taken training when I first started, but I didn't. But you can take like regular training, workshops, full on get into theater or whatever it is. But honestly, like when you're either on set or when you're on the stage, that director, they're giving you're getting like a university degree in, 6 weeks kind of thing on how to act, how to find your motivation, all that kind of stuff. And so the last play that I was in, you mentioned it was called The Peacock Season. I didn't have a very big role only because I just honestly didn't have much time to spend and devote toward it because I've got my business. I was going to school. I work full time. I got a family, all that kind of stuff. So I was happy to take, a role. It was a pretty significant role, but I only had like maybe half a dozen lines. I could probably still recite them all. But even in that one, I came into the room and then I went over and immediately got involved in a conversation. And right then I thought, well, why am I doing that? Like, why am I I know the script says, my character has lines, but I got to find something behind that. Like, why am I walking across the living room? Why am I getting involved in this conversation? So it is something that carries on with you and carries forward. So absolutely get training. And I can give you some tips on what type of training to get, but get training, go to school, do workshops, do weekend class, whatever it is. But when you're on set or when you're on stage or whatever you're doing, like listen to the director, take their advice because you're just going to be building toward it. And my daughter, she loves acting. She did a lot of school productions, and they were all pretty small roles that she was in. But I told her, I said, like, you're still learning your lines, you're still learning choreography, you're still learning, she did like theater, right? But you're still doing, hey, what is, where's this location on the stage? Where's, bottom stage right or stage left or whatever, right? You're still learning and growing. So as far as like challenging roles and characters, thankfully I haven't had that many. I've been able to kind of rise up to it. But the one thing that I endeavored to do, and I shared this with the crew when we were doing the Peacock season, was I said, like, I know that my role is small, like I'm not a major character, but I'm still trying to bring 110% to this role. Because as they say, and it sounds really cliche, there are no small roles, just small act. What you do, you have to, you have to bring it. You have to learn and grow and develop and do whatever you can and bring it to the situation. So again, thankfully, I haven't had too many roles that have been really challenging, but the Toyota Tundra and probably the the Dreyfus film. Those are probably the two most challenging ones.
Awesome. All right, so let's bring the audience back a little bit. You grew up in Calgary. How did you find film? How did film find you?
Well, it is kind of a funny thing because I have the heart of an entertainer. I have the heart of a performer, and I've said before that me in front of a group of people doing something, that's my sweet spot. I don't know what it is. It's just, I work with guys and they, one guy's got a great mechanical aptitude and other people love numbers, and I just love acting. I love performing. So right from the get-go as a child, I was the class clown. I was the one who was, making the class laugh. And, in the early 80s, my brother and cousin and I had a fairly low-key air guitar band that we'd do performances in our basement. Whenever families got together, the cousins and I were all putting on these variety acts kind of thing. But it wasn't until I got to high school where acting bug really hit me. And I'd done public speaking. So I was in a program, I'm not sure if you know what 4-H is, but I was in a program called 4-H and kind of a local club. And so we did public speaking was one of the things. And I did really well, went to semi-provincial finals when I was 14 years old. And so just loved, public speaking and stuff. But then in high school, really got into acting. We did some great plays, some great projects. I just got that bug. But then I honestly put it on hold because I had a career for about 30 years that I just really felt like I couldn't act because of this career. And so I didn't really do much. But then in 2016, we had a massive music festival out here. And I was the MC. I would, rock the microphone, get the crowds going. I would go Facebook Live and interview the artists and go backstage and interview the artists and all that kind of stuff. And after that weekend, I said to my wife, I found that spark again. Like, I want to get into TV and film. I want to be performing. I want to be entertaining. Not sure what it looks like. Not sure how long it'll take, but I got the bug again. And so ever since 2016, I've just been chasing after this dream. Almost every single day, I surf around looking for parts. I reach out to get personal coaching. I've taken workshops just to try and build my level. I started out doing background extra work. So there's a bunch of, I'm not sure if you know this, but Calgary is one of the major hubs for Hollywood and for doing films up here. So Ghostbusters was up here. The Rock was up here when he did Jumanji 2, I think it was. So we have a lot of really great projects. I think Tombstone was filmed up here. So there's a lot of stuff that are filmed up in the Calgary area because you have like the mountains, the big, massive mountain ranges to the west of us. And honestly, within an hour, wide open, flat prairies. So you can have the topography, you can have the big towns, the big city, small town, everything you want. But so I just started doing background extra work got into some TV series. Tin Stars was one. I was on Fargo. I auditioned for and got a couple local things. But I honestly thought that background extra work was going to be my step to stardom. I'm going to walk by and then they're going to be like, holy crap, you'll be perfect for Frank. Get this guy into, hair and makeup and then I'll be off and running. Or, hey, nondescript security guard, why don't you say this line? And then I'll be off and running. But for those of you who want to get into acting, background extra is not the step. You have to audition. You have to actually be acting. And so for the early days on my resume, I literally had townsperson, restaurant patron. So I listed my acting credits, which they're not. So I know background extra is really important and I had a lot of fun doing it. It is not the path to start. You have to get training. You have to find representation when you think you're ready. You have to start auditioning. And the challenge is that when you live in Calgary, we're just not Vancouver or Toronto. So we don't have the amount of projects, but we have some incredible talent. So we're dealing with not just a minimal amount of projects, but we're also dealing with an incredible amount of talent. And depending on the situation, we may even have out-of-town folks audition for some of these projects, right? So the chances of kind of making it, in Calgary, they are pretty minimal. I mean, people do. I got some amazing actor friends who are, doing quite regular work, but it is a little more difficult, when you're not in Vancouver or Toronto. And I did a workshop a couple of years ago with an actor, and he said, for whatever reason, even though Calgary is growing, Hollywood tends to think of Vancouver and Toronto when it comes to projects. So, but that was the journey. Started out doing background extra. Then I did that for about maybe a year and a half, and I really got hungry to audition. And I went to at that time, my representation said, "Hey, I want to audition." They almost, they were pretty pessimistic about it, actually. They said, "Well, not a lot of actors out there get roles." And so she kind of poo-pooed me auditioning. So I said, "Forget that. I'm going to jump ship." So I jumped ship to where I am with RJ Talent. And almost the next day I was getting roles, auditions for. So it was a lot busier a couple of years ago before the actors strike and that kind of thing. Like there was times when I'd had like 4 and 5 auditions to do in 1 week. And so, but like I said before, it will be a long road. I mean, if you're thinking that you're going to put your, resume out there or audition a couple of times, now you're going to be, starring now you and Tom Hanks in the next film, probably won't happen. It'll be slow, steady climb. It'll just be auditioning and submitting and going out, to roles. And, there's times when I pulled my daughters when they were younger, out of school so I can go on audition and that kind of thing, and just going over the top. There's times even when I did background extra work and I you don't get paid very much money, but I was on set for like 12, 14 hours for a couple of days in a row. And I paid the babysitter more than I got paid. But so you're going to have to, and I've invested in headshots, I've invested in training, I've invested in, demo reels for voiceover and for acting. And it's just one of those things. You have to love it. You have to want to chase it. You have to see yourself doing it. And people ask me, well, like, why do you do acting? And all I can say is that acting absolutely makes me come alive. Like even when because I'm auditioned for voiceover for like a cartoon and I'm doing the voices for these things. And even the audition process I find really exciting and a lot of fun. But it is just one of those things, just slow plodding and you'll be, land this great role today. And then tomorrow you'll be in line with 50 other people, trying to get another role. So until you're an A-list actor, you have to keep auditioning. You have to keep chasing after. You have to keep being submitted. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get it. And like I said, I think it is important, I think, for emerging actors, because I did mention that a little bit about that feeling of, being rejected, of being passed over. And I've had that where I've auditioned for a role, I didn't get it. And then I actually saw the actor who got that role. And I went, like, what do they have that I don't have? They did it just the same as I did. But even through all of that, there's been times that I was on a dry spell. It was months before I got any real auditions. And so, you do get a little bit disheartened after a while, but if you love it, you're passionate about it, you can see yourself doing it. And in my situation, you feel alive when you do it. You just got to keep going, just keep pressing on, keep getting training, keep auditioning and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think I lost our train of thought where we were at, Devon, but
no, that's good.
I hope I've answered your question.
Good. That's what they want to hear. Yes, got to keep going, stay committed. So where can people find more about you? Where can they check out your projects, check out your profile?
Yeah, so right now I only have I can send out my demo reel and voiceover reel. I don't have an actual website for acting, but I am on Instagram. And it's jason.johnson.calgary actor. So if you want to find me, just Jason Johnson Calgary actor, and would love to talk more about acting, would love to help pass along whatever little knowledge I have to another actor. But yeah, I do have a website because I am a DJ as well. As you said, it's called eaglefeatherentertainment.ca. So if you want to check out my website there and get in touch with me through that, you're more than welcome to do that too.
Yes. Check them out, you guys. All right. So, we're in a perfect world. You get to pick your role. Do you have a specific role that you would like to play?
I mentioned when I was in high school, and I'm not sure people know the play, The Importance of Being Earnest, but I played this fellow, and he was just this swashbuckling, over-the-top bachelor, quite suave as well, and just this boisterous guy. I don't know why, that just seems to really fit well with who I am. But I'll be honest, so he's that type of guy, but the type of project I would love to be on would just be this B horror, schlock fest, crocodilo, saurus kind of thing, or some zombie show. Like I would love to be in something like that where, I don't know, the world's going to hell in a handbasket and there's only a few survivors and the effects are terrible and, the acting is cliche. But I told my wife, man, I would love to be involved in a project like that. But I think whatever role it is, coming back to that, I love playing a diverse role. We all know actors that they're just the same person exactly every single time, and they make a lot of money, but I personally couldn't see how that would be fulfilling. I would love to do a wide variety of roles. But Algernon Moncrief from The Importance of Being Earnest, that's the role, or some massive B-movie schlock fest. That would be the role, the project I'd love to be a part of.
It's nice. All right. Anything that you want to discuss that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, so when it comes to training, and I mentioned this already, that get training in one of these three areas. Number one is just general acting, right? Because we all need to keep honing our skills. So if you're just level, 101 or 201 or advanced level, but just keep getting acting training. So that's the one thing. Second thing is vocal. So every single, whether you're Canadian or American, every single director, unless they say so, they're looking for what's called the standard American accent. So you have to take a workshop, and this is particularly to my Canadian actor friends, you have to learn the standard American accent because directors can tell you're Canadian in about 3 seconds. You don't want to sound Canadian, unless it says, hey, French Canadian or whatever it is, or, Southern Belle. But unless it's stated, learn the standard American accent. There are some vocal coaches out there. And the third thing is audition skills, because there's some do's and don'ts when it comes to auditioning. And these days, a lot of auditioning is done just through what we call a self-submit. So you're literally you're videoing yourself at home, wherever it is, and then you're submitting it online. So rarely will you stand in line again and audition in person. This is coming out of COVID, and it's still there. People do self-submit. So in my basement, I have a little filming area. So if you're just getting into, TV and film especially, you're going to have to learn to audition, because I have a friend of mine who's a great, great actor, and he auditioned for something. He lives in Toronto now, and he sent it to me, and I went, oh boy, he's pretty much violating every single rule there is when it comes to auditioning. So, but get training in those 3 areas. 1, just general acting training. 2, standard American accent. And 3, auditioning.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning into Inside Plug. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it inspiring. Remember, every journey begins with a single step, and every creator has a story worth sharing. If you love what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on insightplug.com. Your feedback helps us bring you more content. Until next time, keep creating. Devon Jones signing off. Stay inspired. Jason, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, buddy. It was great to be here. Great to talk about acting. I've got the acting bug again.